Creator Series is running a double header, so we're going to be having 2 times 50% races today, all jam-packed into one single video. And there are some quite spicy moments in there, so stay tuned. The moment we landed in the lobbies,
70% in 10 minutes.
Look at the weather forecast. And this is one of those situations where you have to grab the bull by the balls or horns, whatever, however that expression goes. With the rain imminent in qualifying, you don't know whether it's going to take 2 minutes, 5, 10, but what's important right now is to go out and set a valid lap time, because it might just be the only opportunity we'll ever get. And it looks like Gillen is getting a toe already on this qualifying lap.
Giving each other a toe. Alex Gillen getting the toe.
No matter. We're gonna beat him on pure pace alone. And at Austria, it's very easy to invalidate, especially these last 2 corners in the final sector. But we're gonna do our best, and we're gonna push flat out. 1 lap, 1 opportunity. Are you gonna seize it? Into turn 1, break around the 80-meter mark, and throw the car in. You gotta cut a lot of the inside curb and really jump back on the gas as soon as you can. Because with long straights, what you want is to have a good exit so that you can bring that extra lap time down into the next corner. A little safe on the throttle, but it is a good turn 3 nonetheless. Keeping the car tight and straight towards turn 4 now to minimize distance. Brake right after the 100-meter board. Throw the car in once again, feeling around with the throttle. You could see the gradual stages with my throttle input there. And now this double left-hander, super easy to invalidate on the exit right here. But it's important that you don't clip the inside curb. However, if you run wide, that is going to be a 10th or 2 on the table. And at Austria, there's not that many places where you can improve. Last 2 corners now, a little safe on entry, a little safe on the exit as well, because I have a purple sector 1 and 2. The last thing you want right now is to go a little overboard, a little too greedy.
Let's go.
And invalidate.
Let's see if we have time for
would have been a pretty decent
like
banker
310s
in the Creator Series. Because you know in PSGL races, the sweats are going to be putting in much faster lap times than that.
P2.
And I dive into the pits as fast as I can on my outlap, because I wanted to see if I could fit another run in. Now that we have a solid banker, we can allow ourselves to push the limits a little more. However, the moment we start our lap is the moment that rain hits.
Oh, it's raining already.
And by turn 3, the track was already too greasy, sliding all over the place, and this usually means it's time to go in. However, it does mean for us,
pole position, baby. Grazie, ragazzi.
With things as wet as they are, our pole position was all but guaranteed.
Don't jinx me now. Look at that pole position, baby.
Being on pole feels fucking amazing, and now it's about converting it into a win.
Guy, man.
Unfortunately, Fabio touches us on the formation lap. But that's not half bad.
Fucking infratic, man.
Because we actually have less tire wear from the formation lap. And our tires are not too cold either. But it is light out, and away we go. Off the line, pretty good. A little bit of wheel spin, but Lowly seems to have gotten a better start. And he goes for a brutal send. And I kind of just let him have it, because fighting right now would just be really dumb. At Austria, as long as you're P1, P2, it doesn't really matter, especially at this stage of the race. Again, leaving him plenty of space, because the last thing you want right now is to get taken out like Verstappen did. But right away, I saw how much straight line speed I had compared to Lowly, or he just didn't use his battery there. Either way, I make a mental note of that. And I think
we got way less wings than them.
We actually nailed the setup. We learned from our mistake in Baku, and we went much lower on the wings, and this is allowing us to be a straight line rocket. And during the entirety of the first stint, I just thought, damn, Lowly seems to be pushing quite a bit, but
just gotta be careful.
I'm just kind of chilling here.
We're good.
Trying to not to overheat too much my engine, play with my battery, and try to really not use up too much of this precious medium tire compound. Because after just 4 laps, even though we weren't really pushing, we were already up to 17% tire wear. And like I said, we're just going to slingshot past each other for now. And Gillen has actually managed to move from P5 to P3. The fighting behind has given him the opportunity to move up through the pack. And fair play to Alex.
Gillen
he's been pretty on top of his game so far. So instead of working together with Lolly now, we're going to be working together with Gillen. And he goes for a send there, or a half send. I don't know what the hell is that. I had to leave
you
some
go for
room
lunch there?
because I didn't
Just
want to
losing time.
get spun around. And Austria is basically a test of your awareness on track, basically. Knowing when to leave room, when to go defensive, when to go on the attack with your battery as well. And here, even with the DRS, he wasn't really pulling away there. And I had to use quite a bit. And Loli goes for a huge send and kind of pushes us off track. I had to lift there. Otherwise, I would have taken
for the
both
room,
of us
Loli.
into the gravel. Loli, again, being very, very aggressive. And
We got way better.
he did all that just to almost fall out of DRS. I think he actually falls out of DRS here. Not really smart.
I'm thinking about it
Racecraft-wise, not the best decision. Because now he goes wide, and he actually doesn't have DRS. And he's also out of ERS after having attempted that move out of turn 4. And so far, I think I was the one with the best tires on the grid. And I had the best pace during the first stint. Just right there, we closed up, I think, 5 tenths to Alex Gillen. There's still a couple of laps to go before our pit window opens. Because you guessed right, this race is going to be a 2-stopper. Tire wear is just so insanely high that it's not really worth it to go too long. Though the 1-stop is doable, you still kind of need DRS to work together with somebody else. And lap 10 is when we pull the trigger. Gillen stays out for an extra lap, and we go in, trying to not cut the white line. I don't know whether that's an official rule in the Creator Series. There's no real rule book for the Creator Series, so it's hard to tell. But my realism. So let's just play it safe and stay within the white lines. And Loli has actually failed to undercut us.
Overcut us.
We ended up in front of him, and there's quite a lot of people who have already boxed. And these guys, I think, were somewhere in the midfield. So the undercut is actually huge around this track this year. I think, in fact, it's pretty huge around any track. And this makes for very, very interesting racing. So kudos to Codemasters for that. And we come out somewhere in front of Gillen as well. So the undercut kind of worked, but he's only 6 tenths behind. And the next person up ahead is Tom. I kind of want to keep things as they are right now, hoping maybe that Loli or Hayden are going to defend quite hard against Gillen to maybe slow down his advance.
Tires, right?
But with the DRS, it is quite hard to defend. I maybe should have gone defensive, but I didn't want to lose that much time. And the tire differential is not too big right now. So
why is he going for that move right now? Makes no sense.
But yeah, even on stream I said that move is kind of dumb because I have the better pace right now. But yeah, going side by side just loses you a lot of time.
Very
and
aggressive
it's
move.
probably almost never recommended. And Gillen is already on our gearbox once again, while Tom and Lolly are going side by side. I don't know what Lolly's plans are.
I will be able to. Yeah,
He's pushing quite hard.
Sweat.
I think the old habits from F124 are quite hard to get rid of for a lot of people because management is absolutely crucial this year, and over pushing just completely destroys your tires. And if you're wondering why I'm using 90 differential in the high-speed corners, is because I want a little bit of understeer in the high-speed corners just to help stabilize the car, but also since it's generating less oversteer on throttle, in theory it should give me a little less tire wear on the rear tires. At least that's my theory. But we're gonna go on the move right now onto Tom. And with the tire differential, it's night and day. And he goes defensive here, but I don't have to force anything. Because right now, there's no undercut or overcut threat from anybody. We are in the prime position for a race win here. But Tom, he's not letting this go. And Lolly is giving him the toe. This cheeky little bastard. And he moves onto the racing line at the last possible second. So I can't really break deep. So that means Tom is going to stay in front for another lap. I sounded so disappointed there.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's racing. And
moving at the last minute onto the racing
too much
line.
of my tires there. And on the next lap, same thing. We're going to go on the attack again. And look at our battery. Just look at how much extra battery we have. And same thing here. He's going to go defensive, but he starts flashing. And I go for a fake dummy. They have to go side by side, switch back, and now neither of them have DRS. This is some exciting racing and pretty respectful battles too. And right now, I'm just chilling. And they both put their cars side by side to block me. It's quite good car placement from Lolly. So kudos to him. And we're gonna keep going at it until we break Thom. And right away, on the main straight, he's flashing. That means he's under 10%. So we're gonna go for the move here, breaking very deep, leaving some room on the outside. And he runs a little wide purposefully in case we go deep and we take him out. But we don't, and we leave him plenty of room. On to lap 17 now. We are at the exact halfway mark for the race, and it looks like Tiamat Marduk is going for one stopper. And Gillen has also decided that he wants to go on the attack here. And this is pretty tricky with Ben on old tires, lolling in front, and I have to go a little wide on entry. This does allow us to set up a good exit, leaving room for Gillen as well. And now we're going to try to move past Ben here, but he's burning a lot of his battery, and I don't like this, but we can break a lot later than him. He is on 17 lap old mediums. There's nothing he can do.
Good move.
And Loli is starting to slow down. This is good. I'm going to move past, but so does Gillen, and he chose to not go for the move right away. Oh, in fact, he does. So I leave some room. Again, always leaving space, no matter where I am on track.
But then we still manage, right?
And our hards are also starting to show signs of wear. The rear started to become more and more loose. And we have to start thinking about the last pit stop here. When do we do it? When is the best time to go into the box? And when Lolly finally did box, it triggered our pit stop as well. And we follow Gillen into the box. Almost giving myself a 10-second penalty. Breaking in the dirt here was just...
Ay.
Yeah, I put it perfectly there. Somehow I get a better pit stop than Gillen,
Almost,
but
man.
still
Almost.
The game pushes me behind because, yeah, fuck you, Kai. And we come out right behind Lolly. This goes to show the undercut is freaking huge, especially if you go from a harder to a softer compound. And there is a hard runner in the mix. Jake is on very old hards. I think he went for the one stop here. No matter, there's still 10 laps to go, and last thing you want right now is to kill your tires 2 laps into the stint. Because as much as Jake wants to keep up with us, he's not going to be able to. You'll see in a minute the tire difference and how much grip we have over his hards and how much later we can brake. Again, same move into turn 1, giving him plenty of space on the exit. Small tap, but that's all right. And right away, Gillen has gone for the move on Lolly, and he is pushing like a madman to try to get Lolly out of his DRS. And Lolly, he's not doing so hot right now. And we can't afford to stay behind him, so we have to go for the move either this lap or the next, ideally this lap. And I'm starting to push the track limit warnings a little more here. I still have 3 track limit warnings, well, 2 now, that I can afford to take. But the gap right now is 1.4 seconds to Gillen, and I have to catch up to him and get back within that 1 second window. This is now a timing battle. And I'm pushing quite hard here, and on lap 31, I get my second warning. That was not ideal, but we are back within the 1 second window. And Austria having 3 DRS zones means once somebody is back within your DRS, it's usually impossible for you to get back out, unless you have a big tire advantage or big skill gap. Now we are in the prime position to win this race, but I do need to spend some laps recharging my battery before I can go back on the attack again. And right here is where I make a crucial mistake. I turn off my overtake into turn 3, not expecting Karim to go for it, but he goes for a very late send, and I have to leave some room there, but traction has become very, very difficult on these old mediums, and somehow I get pushed down to P3 and into turn 4. Again, he brakes just as late, if not later than me, and we lose P2 just like that. Now I'm sweating a little bit, because being in P3 means you have a lot of more work to do if you want to win the race. And I always try to leave space for the other driver, no matter what happens, because I don't want to go for push to pass type moves. And on the penultimate lap, we go for the move once again, and this time we're gonna dive down the inside into turn 3. Again, leaving some room on the outside, but Karim bumps into us, and I lost traction, and that means he stays ahead. And on lap 36 now, last lap of the race, we're missing half of our battery, and Karim is really close to Gillen. And into turn 1, we have to get a good exit here, but we don't. The rear is loose, and we lose about 3 or 4 tenths. And now we have to rely on what happens in front of us. If they battle and one of them crashes, maybe we can make something happen. But Karim goes a very huge and late lunge, pushing Gillen off track. And that allows us to come back into the dirty air. And I'm going to tuck into Karim's slipstream, but Gillen swipes us. And this sends us into the barriers. And oh my god. I was absolutely fuming at this point. And with the broken front wing, which we just don't have any rotation in the corners. And we're going to be losing so much time. And across the line, it's only going to be P10. And after having looked at both POVs, I thought, you know what?
That dive bomb really
I'm not going to
killed me.
report that. Probably just a racing incident. The rejoin was a little outrageous, but the contact at the end just came down to a broken contact system. One could argue Alex was still steering right here, but sometimes in the heat of battle, you just misjudge things. It happens. So head up, Kai, and we push into race number 2. After that letdown of last lap, we still have to perform. And
I'm gonna try
going
something,
to
guys.
the reverse track, I thought I'd try something different, a wild, a completely crazy strategy. A 2-stopper, but also to go for soft, hard for the
Scotty
2 final
designs.
stints. Since
Starting
the mediums
P2.
really felt like shit in the last
I got
stint,
Ben right
even
next
when
to
we
us.
did a 2-stopper, I wanted to see what a 2-stopper would be like around reverse Austria. And with most people starting on the mediums, the softs will give us a huge advantage on the opening lap. But that's it, because it's all downhill from there. With 5 lights, and away we go. And initially, we get a really good start, but there's really not much ground to be made, and we kind of get boxed in behind Blackmere here, or Tuki, or whatever name he goes by these days. But we do manage to avoid any incidents into turn 1, but we haven't made up any grounds yet. Last race, we finished P10, and in this reverse grid format, we are going to be starting 11. But being on the low downforce setup just gives us so much that top speed and so much grip from the soft tires. And right away, we're going to go on the attack against Tuki as well. I think he's clipped the grass a little bit with his inside tire. That's why he was struggling with traction coming out of that right-hander. And to be fair, I wasn't expecting reverse Austria to be so difficult to overtake on.
Get our nose
But still,
clean.
we've made up 2 positions, and on the next lap, we're gonna try something here against Ben. Up ahead, they're going 3 wide into this very difficult downhill braking zone. And Scott has kind of been caught in the middle of it all. And we're gonna burn our battery here. Even though we all have DRS, the top speed difference is absolutely crazy. But I go for a huge lunge, and I completely push Ben off track. That was not okay.
Sorry, sorry, Ben. That was not intended.
That was not okay from my part. I actually sent him a DM after the race. I don't think he was too happy about it. We'll see when he answers, because he's still giving me the silent treatment to this day. But on lap 3, the soft tires are already up to 20% of tire wear.
When I test the setup,
It's just gonna be downhill from here. The softs are absolutely dog shit on this track. And I'm getting passed by absolutely everybody. And I think the strategy was not the one to be on. And we have to get off of these softs fast. Because at this point, we are getting overtaken by everybody. We dropped back down to P11 or something. And I took it very safe on the pit entry during this first stint, because I
no idea
didn't
what the
practice
entry is. Oh,
the pit entry on the reverse layout, and I didn't know where to brake for the pit entry.
I'm not as familiar
Still,
on this track, guys.
being on these fresh hards feel really good, and it was time to lock in. But that pit entry really cost us some serious race time. On lap 13, we are 3.6 seconds away from Tiamat Marduk. But good thing is, the train is not moving very fast, and I think my pace was very much superior during the second stint. And Scott, we're going to dispatch him sooner or later. And after that, it's all clean air. And we're going to use that clean air to maximize our race time. Nick Flies, next one to get overtaken here on lap 15. I was absolutely flying, having closed that 3-second gap to the train. Making a move into reverse turn 3, it's so tricky to get this corner right. Both the braking zone and the traction zones are going downhill, which gives you less grip. And during the stint, I've made myself a little friend. Gwatz.
Train is losing
This
so
is a
much
driver
time
who's
fighting.
shown a lot of improvement this season. He's had great pace in pretty much all of the races. And right here, Ben goes wide, and I don't need a second invitation. I go down the inside, and on traction, we actually beat him somehow. And we go down the inside of Hayden. That's 2 moves in 2 corners. If we keep this up, we might be looking at a race win here. And on the same lap, Nogueira gets a really bad exit onto the main straight. I'm gonna try to go for a move here, and he doesn't really defend. Actually, he can't because he's out of ERS. And that's another easy move. And right now, we're talking about the race leaders here. These are the race leaders. And there's only one more car I need to dispatch to put myself in the net lead. And Thomas not gonna fight too hard. He knows time, right? We're on so much fresher tires. Correction, he can't really do anything about it. It was only a matter of time. It sounds so good when you put it like that. But now, I know I have to stop another time. And we need to maximize the strategy as much as possible. So I signaled to Guats, hey, let's work together. And later on after the race, he told me he saw the little infamous wiggle and he knew what he had to do. He understood the mission. What a goat this guy is, man. And we're just gonna keep going. Lap after lap. Exchanging DRS. Increasing that gap ever so slightly. Lap after lap to P3. And on lap 22, it was time to go in again. I wanted to go on to the last set of hards and make my way to the end. And being on the strategy of double hards, it really allows me to push to the max and not worry about tire wear at all.
Wait, what?
Race 1 was all about tire management. Race 2, it was time to get angry. On lap 25, we're on the back of Lolly, and these are the current net race positions. And the overspeed we get into turn 1 is crazy. But being on the 2-stop means we have to overtake more cars during our stint. And Gillen is currently 6 seconds up the road. GB, 13 seconds up the road. And we don't have that many laps left. I'm kind of running out of time here. 6 laps to go, 6 seconds. Can I do it? But this is where we get a big problem. I go off track and I get a 3-second penalty. And that's not good because Guats is only 1.8 seconds behind. And I'm really hoping that his mediums are going to die before the end of the race. And at this point, we're getting really close to Gillen. We actually managed to close up 3 seconds in just 3 laps. And I'm still closing. I'm gaining every single lap. But there's another problem. Look at my fuel.
Time for that corner.
I'm running out of fuel. And this is where I realize, oh shit, I might run out of fuel before the finish line. So I have to start aggressively fuel saving. Lift and coast into every single corner. But even with all that fuel saving, we're about to run out here on the final straight. And this is the worst moment for this to happen. Had I done it maybe a lap earlier, the fuel saving,
oh my god,
we probably could have done it. We probably would have stayed out of the 3-second window. Because crossing the line, Guats 300s in front of me on the timing table. And wow, completely speechless. This one I'm laughing to myself because I knew if only I had started fuel saving maybe a little earlier into the race.
Unlucky today.
This wouldn't have happened. I would have been on the podium there actually. And that drops us down to P6 in the driver's standings.
Yeah, unlucky. Fuck, ran out of fuel on the final straight. Even though the results don't speak for themselves, I'm pretty proud of how I raced today. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of how I drove today overall. Good pace, tire management was brilliant. I should have started fuel saving a little earlier. Yeah, Guats drove pretty well, even on his old mediums.
Like I said in the video, I did pretty well, all things considered. But there are just some mistakes. Over pushing the car maybe in the last stint. Letting Kareem have free reign into turn 3. Giving him the inside for free. But still, I can be proud of that performance. Of how I managed the race up until that point. This year's season has been much more consistent compared to last game. And my first win is on the horizon. I can feel it. As always, if you enjoyed the video, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe so you don't miss out on any of these videos and live streams. This is Formula Kai signing off, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.